right, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to say happy homecoming. Thank you so much for joining us today. A few housekeeping items before we get started. We're going to ask everyone to stay on mute for the beginning portion of our session and utilize the chat box for questions or comments. And then in the end, we're going to give everybody some time to unmute and share some stories and memories with us. With that being said, my name is Madeline Brantley, and I work in the Office of Alumni Engagement. We are so excited to have you here to celebrate the Shaw 100th birthday reunion. And yeah, let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Alicia Pittman. I work with the special events team here at UNCG. Thank you for taking the time to join us today in this virtual setting. Even though events are looking a little different this year, we're so honored to be able to share this time with each and every one of you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Copeland, and I'm the coordinator for Residence Life for the Historic Quad, which includes 7 residence halls, one of which is the beautiful and amazing Shaw Hall. Working in university housing has been an amazing experience this year. It's definitely been a little bit different, but amazing nonetheless. Our students have adapted to our current world and continue to make campus living exciting. To start off our program today, we would like to start at the beginning of Shaw Residence Hall at UNCG. If you have any questions during the video, please type them in the comment section on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We will do our best to answer all questions.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Larimore, University Archivist and Associate Professor in the University Libraries. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the history of Shaw Residence Hall over the years. Under the leadership of its second president, Julius Faust, the college, now known as UNC Greensboro, saw one of its greatest periods of growth. In the 1920s, enrollment doubled and the number of buildings on campus grew by 21. This construction boom began with the building of a dormitory named for women's suffrage leader Anna Howard Shaw. Shaw Residence Hall is one of the few buildings on campus not named in honor of someone officially associated with the university. Yet the connection between the college and Dr. Shaw was an important one. Anna Howard Shaw, again, was an important leader in the women's suffrage movement. She was elected president of the National Women's Suffrage Association in 1904 and was appointed the chairman of the Women's Committee of the U.S. Council of National Defense during World War II. Through this work, Shaw met and became friends with political science professor Harriet Elliott. Elliott invited Shaw, as well as many other suffrage leaders, to speak to the student body in Greensboro. Shaw spoke at our school on 3 different occasions between 1917 and 1919. She said she felt especially close to our students, stating that the spirit of the school was both inspiring and unique. In spring 1919, the senior class requested that Shaw speak at their graduation. In her address, Shaw commended the young students for their campus mobilization efforts during World War I. And she asked that they redefine their post-war roles as moral leaders for peace. She understood that the true legacy of the war was this generation of young women who would shortly gain the vote and become more politically active than at any other time in American history. Anna Howard Shaw would die only 2 months later, on July 2nd, 1919, 1 year before the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Shaw's legacy here in Greensboro, however, continued. In her will, she left the college with a significant amount of funds to be used for student scholarships. Additionally, at the 1919 commencement exercises, college president Julius Faust announced that the new campus dormitory would be named in Shaw's honor. Shaw Residence Hall became the first of the new halls that would come to form the Quad. 6 others followed by 1923. Gray, Henshaw, Bailey, Cotton, Jameson, and Coit. Finally, in 1939, the empty north end of the quad was filled with the construction of Winfield and Wheel halls. Looking at the current site of the quad, you might never guess that it was once home to a farm and dairy barn that supplied the campus with milk, pork, and produce. But in 1897, founding college president Charles Duncan McKeever established the first campus farm on a newly acquired plot of land on what was at the time the western edge of the campus. In addition to providing the school with food products, the farm also served as a teaching laboratory for horticulture classes. It took 7 years for the farm to begin turning a profit for the school. After 1904, however, the farm operations grew substantially. By 1910, the cattle produced more milk than the students could consume, allowing the college to sell and profit from the surplus. Soon, however, campus expansion led administrators to search for new sites for the farm. In 1913, the livestock in their barn were moved further west, closer to Dairy Street, now Josephine Boyd Street. This photo is from that second location on Dairy Street. A few years after the farm's move, construction began on Shaw Residence Hall. All of the buildings on the UNCG quad were designed by Harry Barton, a prominent Greensboro architect. Barton drew up plans for a number of other UNCG buildings, including Brown Building, the Curry School Building, Mary Faust Residence Hall, Guilford Residence Hall, and UNCG Auditorium. Shaw Residence Hall holds a very important place in campus history due to its role as a segregated housing site for the earliest African American students to enroll on campus. In fall 1956, Joanne Smart and Betty Ann Davis Tillman were admitted to the college. The two were assigned to live as roommates in Shaw. But Smart and Tillman not only shared a room, but an entire wing of the first floor of Shaw. The college made this special arrangement to prevent the two African American students from sharing bathroom facilities with their white classmates. Separation of bathroom facilities had been a major concern that was often expressed in letters from white parents when news began to break that two Black students were being admitted to the college. This arrangement left several rooms in that wing of Shaw empty, while other students were housed 3 or 4 per room across campus. This segregated housing arrangement lasted for 3 years until several white students asked permission from the college administration to move into the empty rooms. In 1992, the parlor of Shaw Residence Hall was named in honor of Joanne Smart and Betty Tillman. In 2009, campus administrators held open forums to discuss the future of the quad. The buildings were approximately $32 million behind in deferred maintenance, and they lacked air conditioning, sprinklers, and handicapped access. Some argued that it would be cheaper and easier to demolish and replace them. Others wanted to see the buildings renovated rather than destroyed. Ultimately, it was decided to renovate and modernize the quad. Renovation work began on May 7th, 2011, with the renovations estimated to cost $52.5 million. Gifts from alumni and friends of the university were key in funding this renovation. The buildings were made ADA compliant and energy-efficient air conditioning was added. The quad residence halls officially reopened to student residents in August 2012. If you would like to learn more about the history of Shaw or the quad and see many more campus photographs, yearbooks, scrapbooks, and other materials from across UNCG's history, you can visit university archives online at library.uncg.edu/archives.
It's truly amazing the amount of history that has been made in the Shaw Residence Hall. It's been 100 years of memories, and students are still making memories in those halls today. So now that you've seen where Shaw started, Sean is going to share what it looks like today. So again, if you have any questions, any comments, please put them below and we will do our best to respond.
Okay, so now I'm going to take y'all through so that you can see kind of what Shaw is looking like these days. So picture an expansive traditional quad lawn surrounded by red brick buildings, sprawling porches, and towering oak trees. This is the historic heart of the residential campus. This is a place of friendships, memories, laughter, and learning for years past and years to come. The quad was completely renovated and all 7 halls were given top quality upgrades. Focus was placed on creating an ideal outdoor space for students to enjoy with walkways and seating areas scattered in a beautifully landscaped grassy common area. Shaw is the focal point of the quad, offering a large outdoor plaza with seating walls. So this is what the front of Shaw looks like. This is the side that is facing the EUC that is seen mostly from the road. Columns, love them, such a fan. This is the quad lawn. And like, you would really think that during quarantine, that would mean that, it was going to be utilized a little bit less. There is a volleyball game that happens every single night at 6:30, fewer than 10 people. And they come out, they bring their giant like volleyball net, they wear their face masks, and community is still being built out there. This is kind of what the quad looks like from the aerial view. So as you can see, we have all 6 of the buildings, and then at the head of it is Shaw Residence Hall. We have the tennis courts, which our residents love to utilize. And during most years, this is where we'll have like a lot of different like events, like our yearly Housing and Residence Life Carnival, which is a huge event. Last year we had a Ferris wheel. This year we didn't do it, but I'm sure that will be making its way back pretty soon. This is what the rooms look like in Shaw, and you'll actually get another view of what some of the rooms are looking like and how some of our residents have decided to decorate. We'll get into that a little bit later. This is another example of what the rooms look like. So like we mentioned before, all of the residence halls underwent this renovation. And so this is what the community kitchen looks like in the other 6 buildings that are not Shaw, the 6-pack, if you will. This is what the community kitchen looks like in Shaw. So as you can see, super modern, wonderful floors. This is also where we have a printer for the residents to utilize. So Housing and Residence Life makes sure that residents have access to a printer whenever they need it, and it is free to residential students. This is the game room that is located in Shaw Hall. So we have ping pong, we have a pool table, lots of TVs. At any moment, you're going to see like a group of students, again, under 10 people because guidelines, playing games in here. They'll bring out the board games. It's a really great time. This is what one of the parlors looks like in the other 6 buildings. This is one of the study rooms in Shaw. These residents are getting a lot of use out of these this year. We have 2 classrooms located in Shaw Hall on either side of the building, which is typically utilized by first-year experience courses or any other sort of classroom experience that may be needed. Additionally, we have the Tillman Smart Room that is also located in Shaw, which is more so multi-purpose room. So we'll do different programs, classes, workshops, etc. in that space as well. So yeah, that is it. That is everything of what Shaw Hall looks like right now. It truly is beautiful.
Thank you, Sean. That was great. We do have one question. Is there still a piano room on the first floor?
Yes, there is. So we do still have a piano located in Shaw Hall. It still gets tons of use. We still have like a lot of residents in Shaw who are music majors. So we'll have residents playing the piano. Actually, usually around like 8 p.m. at night, there's like outdoor plugs or outlets in the breezeway of Shaw. And I've heard residents like going out there and playing their electric guitars and stuff like that in that space. And I'm like, not what I had in mind for it, but you know what? We love to build community here.
Yes, that's great. I saw a bunch of comments about the kitchens and the furniture. You couldn't tell, but the furniture really allows students to utilize every inch of their room and set it up the way they want. So the beds can go up really high if they want or brought lower. So they are very, very nice. Thank you for that tour, Sean.
Of course.
Yeah. Up next, now that we've seen all there is to see about the history of Shaw and what it currently looks like, we got the opportunity to talk to a few students that currently live there. So I'm going to let Alicia go ahead and share this video with you.
All right, just bear with me for 1 second and I'll play it for you all.
Hi, my name is Faith Constantine. I am a junior consumer apparel and retail studies major with a Spanish minor. And I am also the Vice President of Community Outreach and Advocacy for the Residence Hall Association here at UNCG.
Hi, my name is Michaela Fox. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm a senior majoring in therapeutic recreation with a pre-professional interest in occupational therapy. I am currently on the American Medical Student Association Board, UNCG Queen of U, and I also am the president of the Historic Quad Hall Council.
My name is Kayla Jystad. I'm a communications and religious studies major. I'm a sophomore, and I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Carolinian, which is the newspaper on campus.
Hello, my name is Angel Battle. I'm a junior social work major and I'm a resident advisor in the Historic Quad.
Personally, the reason why I wanted to live in the Historic Quad is because I felt like it was central to a lot of things. So it's right across from the CAF and the fountain. It's a short walk to the EUC. It also is convenient for me and accessibility to all my classes. Another reason why I wanted to stay in the Historic Quad is because a historical event happened. Betty Ann Davis Tillman and Joanne Smart were the first two African-American students to enroll in a women's college at UNCG. So staying somewhere that was so historic was really motivational for me to keep going personally as a student. So that's another reason why I wanted to stay in the Historic Quad.
I personally love the location of the quad. I love how centralized it is. And then I love how different and unique Shaw is from the other buildings in the quad.
My favorite part of living on the quad, ironically, has been the quad. It's been a great activity, especially because the weather has been beautiful, as it always is at the beginning of the year, to just sit and have like a safe space with friends that we can actually hang out together in. You see other people, they play volleyball, and people come over and say hi, and it's so nice to see like life on campus in this community, and it's so close to everything. I love it. I just love it so much.
My favorite part of being in the quad is seeing residents interact on the quad lawn and just enjoying themselves and having fun and relaxing and whatnot and doing different activities.
My favorite memories of being a student at UNCG would have to be the homecoming. I personally like going to the bonfire and Spartan Madness. I just feel like that's the time where I can see all of my friends that have graduated and also commune with friends that I've made here at UNCG. Unfortunately, it's going to look a little different this year due to COVID, but I will make the best of it as much as I can.
My favorite memories last year were the bonfire. That was just, there's something about hot chocolate and like bright lights that just makes like college students just go yes. But I was in a lot of seminar classes last year, and just that was so memorable and so nice to me because I really felt like you had a connection with your professors and that you were actually taking part in interactive learning with other people around you, and I loved it.
So living on campus this year is definitely different, but not a bad different. It's just we've modified the ways that we can do things, but we're still doing things and it's still a great experience.
Being on campus in a global pandemic certainly does not come without challenges, but I think it is incredibly rewarding, specifically to be on UNCG's campus. There's so many other campuses that made me very nervous to come back, and especially when we were back on campus, I was very uncertain of what was going to happen, but so many people are wearing masks, so many people are social distancing. It really does feel like everyone is in that together, and our numbers show it. And it's just been incredible to be with so many understanding professors, especially in a uncommon format like online learning. Has just been so reassuring that this is just a community that cares.
Being on campus during a pandemic has definitely been harder, knowing that we have to wear masks around each other and remain socially distanced. I think that's been tough on everyone, but I think given the circumstances, UNCG students and faculty, we've been doing a good job remaining safe and also making the best out of what's possible for this year.
So it was so great to hear from our current students. That was Faith, Kayla, Angel, and Michaela. I would also like to thank them for participating in the SHA reunion. It was really remarkable to see and hear their excitement and eagerness to be on campus and in the classroom despite the current pandemic.
This week has been filled with virtual sessions and more. On the student end, they had many different activities. They also did virtually, but specifically in SHA, we asked students to submit pictures of their room to see who had the best room. So we have narrowed it down to the top 3, and we are actually going to ask you all to pick which one wins. They get a really nice little alumni treat bag. So I'm going to share my screen and share those photos with you. And then we'll start a poll that will pop up on the middle of your screen, and you will be able to cast your vote. Give me one quick second. I'll get that started. All right. So I'll give you a few seconds to look at this one. This is room A. It's very clean. I was very proud to see how clean they were. All right. Moving to room B. This one has a little bit of a different setup. And lastly, room C. All righty. So there's a picture of them all together there. And there's the poll. So if you could just go ahead and pick which room you think is best. You can move around the poll box if you'd like to see the photos one more time. Great. Looks like room A is everyone's favorite. Just a few more seconds. Let everybody have time to vote. Oh, good. All righty, I'm going to end it. It looks like the winner is room A. All right. That was great. Won by a good bit, 64%. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all for being the judges. I'm sure they will really appreciate your help with this. I'm actually going to pass it over to Sean and let him tell you a little bit about the winner.
Absolutely. So like Madeline said, thank you all for helping us choose the best decorated room in SHA. The winner's name is Shaman Holden. He actually goes by Kel. Kel is a senior communications major from Nashville, North Carolina. Kel has been very involved on campus. He has served on the Spartan orientation staff. He's been a resident advisor. He was a summer conference assistant, and he's actually a member of the Homecoming Royal Court this year. So I guess tonight we will find out if he is going to win and become one of the Homecoming Royals. So I'm sure that Kel is going to be super excited to find out that he won this competition.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. So we will now like to open the session for everyone to chat and share your SHA memories with us. To start off, please see the photos and stories submitted to us through our email.
I'm going to go ahead and show you those, but while I do, everyone, please feel free to unmute yourself now and chat openly with us. I've seen a few comments here, a few questions really quick. Sean, are students allowed to paint their dorm rooms?
Students are not allowed to paint their rooms, unfortunately. If they do, they will probably
Oh.
receive a nice bill from us at the end of the year.
For those of you who did paint your dorm rooms, what color did you paint them? I'm very interested.
I don't know there was anybody here who did, but I do remember there was a whole collection of colors that you could pick from, and you had to pick like 2 or 3 colors that kind of went with each other. So given that it was still very Victorian style, there would be like the pinks, there would be the teals, there was the purples, and it would take a while. So the roommates would do it, and they would walk around the dorm fully covered in paint for a few days until it was all done, because they had to do like all of the different trims, etc.
Oh, wow. That is great.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, every room was different.
Yeah.
And then of
So
course there
Sean-
were rooms some that were not painted.
I
Sean,
painted mine.
They can
What
paint
color?
the room and take the hit if they want to.
I mean, honestly, if it looks really nice, if they do it like professional grade, I mean, I wouldn't be too mad at them. Nice like navy blue and gold, that could work. We love UNCG colors.
Yeah, there you go. Ling, you painted yours, right?
I did. Paige, what color was it? Because I painted over your room.
Really?
Yeah. I want to say it was pink, maybe, but I painted it white, I think.
You remember her, Ling Su?
I don't think that I think it may have been pink when we moved in.
Okay, yeah, and I painted over that whenever I got your room. So
Wild.
That is, what a small world. I'm going to show you some of the photo submissions that we did get in, but I wanted to let everyone know in the chat box on the bottom corner, you'll see where it says to. If you would like to message someone your updated email or phone number that you see, feel free to do that. It'll send them a private message with your updated contact information so that you all can chat after this and maybe catch up on some of your Shaw memories. All right. And if anyone here, if these are your stories, please feel free to walk us through them. Oops. Here, we love this one. I remember reading Lord of the Flies, so I thought that was super interesting. Meredith, are you on the call? I might have seen you.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
We met in the parlor, and I remember sitting around in the parlor, and we all discussed the book. The rooms were very, very basic, and it felt very old, and kind of dark. But now the windows look fantastic. It looks like they've made a great addition to bringing the light into the rooms, which was difficult. Also, we had restrictions about what we could wear on campus. We were not supposed to wear pants because it was still women's college. So mostly we wore skirts, and for PE, we had an outfit that would recall bloomers at the time. And one of the PE classes we had was folk dance, and another was golf. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Up next, Miss Sarah submitted some photos here of her room. Did anyone else live in room 214?
I think think I did.
Did you?
I'm trying. Yeah, that was facing the front, right?
Facing the
The
front.
second floor to the left when you came up the stairs.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I think that was my room the first year.
Wow. She also sent in a picture of the name tags they got on the first day when she moved in.
Oh goodness.
And then who can tell me about the Shaw songs? I wasn't too familiar with those. Does anyone remember anything about those?
No.
No? We'll have to talk to Sarah and see if she can give us some more information. Up next, this is really interesting. She has this piece of artwork in the top in her home, and it shows all of her relatives that have attended UNCG and Women's College. Many, many generations. I thought that was wonderful. And then she also shared with us many of the festivals that she used to have in the hallways, and getting ready for those. She really enjoyed those. Up next, this one I found very interesting. Wendy shared that her room overlooked the ledge and they used to sunbathe. Did anyone else do that? All right. I think this might be the last one. Does anyone remember decorating the basement for Halloween?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yes.
I would love to hear more about that. I'm gonna stop showing my screen so we can talk about it.
If I remember, we had partnered with some organization to bring kids to do trick or treating, and a bunch of the residents built a haunted house in the basement. And it was amazing to see, the work that was done in the basement with everybody dressed in costumes and like caves and dark, and the basement was pretty dark and dinky. So it was a very spooky place.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
That is great. Does anybody have any other stories they'd like to share with us? Any other
We could
memories?
go on for hours.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here. I'm very interested.
I think I was talking, we would, there would be these African dance classes. I mean, the dance school was obviously next door in the facility, in the new gym facility that was open while I was there. Well, some of us were there, and they would come and dance in the front lawn, and they would do these classes, and we would all just sit there, and some of us would, some more brave ones would try to join, and some of us were just sitting there enjoying it. Fridays were coffee hour, the international coffee hour in the student center, and then the party extended to the front lawn, the piano room, the balcony on the third floor. That was a good gathering place. I mean, it was tiny, and yet somehow we would all pile up in there. I was there in the first floor my last 2 years, so I was not aware of a number of parties that many years later I heard about through Facebook, and I'm like, where was I, guys? That you never invited me. So I guess being the RA was not making me the most popular person, but I think I was a pretty nice RA to all of you, right?
I'm sure you were.
But the first floor was the best.
Oh, there you go. We do have a question, Sean. When did Shaw become the International House, and is it still?
I'm not sure when it became the International House, but I can say that it is now no longer the International House. Now we have international students living both in Tower Village, as well as we have a Global Village learning community in Phillips Hawkins.
Is Shaw dorm co-ed or single sex?
It is co-ed, And I saw a question earlier in the chat asking if most of the rooms were singles, and we actually have a mixture of singles and double occupancy rooms, as well as like each of the rooms is connected by like a bathroom. So there's typically like 2 to 3 people assigned per suite.
It's a major improvement. You know, I lived in a house or Shaw dorm from 80 to 81. So it was very much like it was in the 70s, 60s, et cetera. You had to be in the dorm by midnight or you were locked out. So somebody would have to pull you in through their window. When you walked into the lobby, there was a student receptionist, and there was a piece of wood behind her head with each room number on it, and that's where you get your phone messages from, because there was no cell phone, there was no internet. There were 2 phones on each floor, and so if you had a piece of paper in your box, you'd have them dial out the number for you, and then you'd talk on the phone. We had no air conditioning, and it was radiator heat, so you just left the windows cracked. And then last but not least, when I lived there, the first floor, as you walked in on the right, was all female. As you walked in on the left, was all male. The second floor was all female. And then the third floor was the right side female, the left side male, but there was no receptionist. So that was the wildest floor. You know, nobody, that's where all the parties happened, on the third floor. That's where I lived. And then in the basement, it was nothing but just a basement, you know, and it had a little stove, and a lot of the students cooked down there, and we would have disco parties and all that in the basement. So very fond memories.
Wow.
I love that. Sounds like it was so much fun.
It was Studio 54 of UNC Greensboro.
I saw you, Miss Meredith. Do you have something?
Well, so at the time that I went there, we had a very, very famous member of the faculty called Miss Hagee. And she taught history, and she was very, very tough. It was hard to get an A in her class. And I remember using the phone booth near the reception desk to call my father and say, why can't I get an A in her class?
Oh, oh my goodness. Mm-mm. Does anyone else have any other memories they'd like to share with us?
I shared this earlier this week when there was an international student session. One thing that I remember about living in iHouse is we seemed to be our own island. Nobody came to visit us. I think it was a us versus them. And it was just because there were people from all over the world living in iHouse and cooking all types of foods. And so you would have to go to someone's dorm to visit them, because they would never come to Shaw dorm. It wasn't hostile, but that's what you noticed when you lived there. The only people that came to visit were other international students.
That is interesting. Amy, did you have something?
Yeah, I lived there in 1958, so I'm the antique in this group, and it was very basic living then. We all had roommates. There were no private rooms. Of course, It was all female. It was also the dorm that, as was pointed out earlier in the history, where the Black students were on the opposite wing of the first floor from where I was. I was lucky. I had a corner room, and so it was quite a bit bigger than the rooms that were on the interior part. And one of the closets even had a window in it. So you could go in there at night, and they had their own light bulbs, and you could study after lights out if you wanted to and not get caught. It was a fun room to be in, because there also was a doorway that went down and crossed the drive that came all the way around the quad. And we could see from our side windows the faculty playing tennis on the tennis courts right across the road where Rosenthal Gym is. And it was very strict back then. It was a very strict young ladies' school, and you were expected to behave properly and dress properly and all those things. And it was quite different from what all you younger folks have experienced, I'm sure. But they're good memories. We really had a lot of fun in the dorm. And we did not have our own bathrooms. We had sort of dorm bathrooms where there were 4 or 5 shower stalls. And I can't remember, there may have even been a tub that had an enclosure if you wanted to take a bath instead of a shower. And it was all sort of very, all that part of your life was very public. Quite different, but it was a great place to live. My room doesn't exist anymore because it was on first floor, so those rooms are all gone. But I still have a great fondness for the building.
It is very beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Emmy. I remember I'm one of five girls, so I always shared a bathroom growing up. But when I moved to college, my roommate was an only child. And we shared a bathroom, and that was the hardest thing for us to get past. Because, now we were always together. There was never that one space you could go to be by yourself. I never thought about the closet studying. I should have tried that. It might have helped.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
Yeah.
I will say those corner rooms are still the most coveted rooms in the building.
Sure, yeah.
They are definitely larger than all the other
And
ones.
they're brighter because of the windows and everything, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm so glad the quad was not torn down. It just broke my heart when the word came out that might happen. And I just thought, no, this can't be. And I'm so glad the university chose to save it.
Me too. Donegan, I saw you.
Yeah, I've got a 2-part question for Sean. What, the single rooms and the corner rooms, how are they prioritized, or is it like random or lottery? And what's the cost difference in those? Is it the same or is it more?
Yeah, so the way how it works is all of our students have to enter into, it's kind of like a lottery, but we do give preference to older students. So seniors typically have like priority preference, as well as if you have already lived in the building, then you also will receive priority. I'm not sure how they assign all of that. It's all done in some like system. Then everyone gets a number from that. And then from there, it is kind of like a first come, first serve on like who gets which of the rooms. But like people do try to get into Shaw more than they do like any of the other buildings in the quad because all of the rooms here are larger than the other buildings. As far as like the price difference, I can look it up. I do not know what it is off the top of my head.
And one other tidbit that I found interesting, I think I have this right. I lived in Guilford. I was an 87 grad, but I helped a friend build we built a loft in his dorm room in Shaw, which I don't think you can do that anymore. But I've heard all the quad buildings now, all of the laundry rooms downstairs have webcams, and you can get texted when your clothes in the dryer are done. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we do use a
This is amazing.
So that then once the washer or dryer, whichever one you're using, finishes, it does send like an automatic alert to your phone. But students just have to make sure they sign up for it. And you would think with all of that technology, that would make things just a little bit easier and people would still get their clothes on time. They don't. They still end up like leaving them in there for like hours, and then somehow they end up on top of the machine. It's a whole wonderful experience.
Does anyone else have any other questions or memories they'd like to share with us?
Raise your hand.
I'll share a story that will make everyone laugh. It's not
tell 'em.
necessarily a memory of living in Shaw, but
Tell them who you are.
I'm Joanna Carroll. I was there from 88 to 92 when it was the I House. And
Hello.
enjoyed the entire experience. I had lived in Germany when I was in high school, and I thought, wow, what a better way to spend my college years, but in an international dorm. And I thought, gosh, I'm probably going to have to, I don't know if I'm going to get in. And I wrote this elaborate essay and thinking, praying that I would get in, and then realized it wasn't really that big a deal. But, my first probably week or two there, I had to get to Mossman. And, you know, I am a little bit challenged when it comes to reading maps, and I wound up going all the way around campus to get there, and then realized once I got there that I could see Shaw just down the street. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I am gonna lose it. It was crazy. But
It does get confusing.
But I really enjoyed my time there. Wound up with a great roommate, and we had lots of fun together. So I do recall a event, and I can't remember what it was, but a group of, it was some sort of like contest where you would, I don't know if it was lip syncing to a song and doing like a little dance, but the few of us from Shaw that did this, we wound up winning, and it was a lot of fun. I wish I could remember that. I have a photograph. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but
yeah. Oh, wow.
But we had a lot of fun.
Thank you for sharing that. That does sound fun. Sean, maybe we should bring that back. We should try and do that.
Honestly, I'm writing down all these ideas so that we can bring it to the group. So we can
Yes.
And here's a picture of my room. Is it centered?
Oh, wow.
Is
very nice.
A little to your right. You're right.
This way?
Yep, there you go.
Well,
and I believe it was room 203. So
very
I
nice.
bet numbers have changed. Have the room numbers changed since the renovation?
Yeah, I think they did like renumber just to make things make more sense.
This guy and I met at UNCG.
So now it's
oh, wow.
He had already graduated, but he was still hanging around.
That is so special.
There were no cell phones, and it was past receptionist hours. I would go in to the quad up to that side of the building and toss pebbles at her window.
Oh, I love that.
Old school.
Yeah. Right.
Does anybody else have any stories they'd like to share? I'm having so much fun. I just want to hear them all.
The theater, I whatever the main street is that runs in front of the music school, the movie theater was open when I went there, and every Friday night it was playing Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that was modern times, you know, that was what was playing right then. And then to the left of the theater, there used to be a little store, I can't remember the name of it, but every month the owner would come to the parlor of our house and give us a wine and cheese educational party. So we loved that. You know, we loved the wine more than the cheese, and it was part of living in our house.
That sounds amazing. Sean, did you write that one down?
Absolutely.
Send me the invite to that one.
Oh, it'll definitely happen.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. This is on the Rocky Horror part. There should be a few of us here that remember actually having the Rocky Horror Picture Show performed behind the dorm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
complete with props. It was great.
Yeah. We Friday nights were soccer game nights, and when we were there in the early 90s, the soccer team was really good, and so we would all go together, and we had a little chant. It was like UNCG. What does it say? Ankaja. It was like all of the iHouse group always together to the soccer games. So.
Oh, wow. That is great.
Does anybody remember Sandy?
Sandy.
The nephew?
Sandy's iHouse.
Does anybody here from those days who remember Sandy and all the parties we used to have in the dorm and the trash can parties where we gather everything we could from the cafeteria and all the alcohol, throw it in a big trash can? And we'd all just hang out and drink.
I saw a few hands. I think I saw 4 hands.
And when, Sandy and I lived in a house right down the street from Shaw Hall soon before we graduated. And we used to have incredible parties. Remember this?
Yeah.
Jumping off the top of the house. We had bands in the front yard, people in the backyard. When they used to have houses right beside, what was it? The business. It was on Kenilworth, but what was the business? I don't know. But this is Cindy, not Marlena.
Well, thank you. Those are good memories.
I shared the link with a few of my friends.
Oh, too funny, too funny.
Water fights in the basement of Shaw Hall. I think we flooded the basement at one point.
Back this way.
Water fights.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
We had fun. We had a lot of fun. Somehow we got kegs up on the 3rd floor. Anybody here from those years? I graduated in 94, so.
Yeah, there's a few of us here.
90, 91, 92.
Yeah, I think we had a few. Yeah, I saw, I think 3 hands.
Yeah, there's 4 of us.
Here from those days.
Yeah.
From the old
This is
days.
an Ayler class of 76, and I lived in Shaw from 73 to 76. But I've been trying to get on since 2 o'clock, but I'm not very technologically correct.
Well, that's okay. We're glad you made it. I shared your photos not too long ago with the group.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed seeing that.
That's all right. Do you want to tell us some more of your stories?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I love living in an international house. And when one of the things I enjoyed about it is we felt like we were a very select group, that we were chosen, but we always had high expectations of us from faculty and staff and from the people in the residence hall. And my 3 grandchildren are here enjoying this with me in the background. We really, in our family, we really believe in education. And so we started at an early age encouraging everybody. And our family is longtime UNCG alums. Both my grandmothers were students there who graduated in 1911 and 1913. My mother and both my aunts are graduates. My grandmothers were there when it was State Normal College, or State Normal Industrial. My mother and my aunts were there when it was WC, a women's college. And then my 2 sisters and I graduated from there when it was UNC Greensboro.
That is so special. I loved that photo that you sent me with all of their names and their years. That's a really great piece to have.
We're proud of our legacy. But it was fun times too. I don't know if I talked about the wonderful view from the 3rd floor at International House when we looked out over the quad, when there were everything from festivals to the street.
Yeah, I think a few other people said the 3rd floor was the best floor. You had the most fun up there. That's what I heard. Except for one, the 1st floor was also fun.
It was. Some of the other people who are on this afternoon who are more technologically literate than I am, are they more recent graduates?
You know, we have a good mix today, but this session is recorded, so you'll be able to go back and watch it.
Oh, that's grand. You know, I came from a small community in South Carolina to UNC Greensboro. My graduating class was 200 people. And it was, Myrtle Beach was then more of a rural area than it is now. Thank you. But it was an eye-opening experience to go to UNC Greensboro. My freshman class was 2,000, but I not only got to meet people from North Carolina, but people from throughout the United States, and an eye-opening experience to people internationally. And you know, that just makes a whole big difference in how we not only educate each other, but in terms of our careers and how we live our life.
I agree. I think that is for me in college, that was the biggest learning curve, was living with others who weren't my family. And I think that is where, I learned a lot in the classroom, but all of my personal experiences that I take away and I still talk about today are from my dorm room experience. That's why I think this is so great. We can all come together from different class years, and some lived in the same room, and we can talk about memories we all had. And I think that's just great. Does anyone else have any last few memories they'd like to share with us before we close today?
I think that Shaw was a very, very special place. I've talked to lots of people about their dorm life, and I don't think I've ever met anyone who spoke about their dorm the way my dorm mates we talked about Shaw. It was not just a dorm, it was a family. It was a place where we learned not just tolerance but inclusion. I mean, we had people from all over the world with very different backgrounds, very different beliefs, very different concepts coming together and living and getting to know each other and experiencing all of these different things. And it truly changed all of our perspectives about life. I actually joined Facebook many years ago because of my Shaw friends reached out and said, you gotta join Facebook, we're there. And I think I see all of the faces from my time, and I know I'm connected with all of you on Facebook, and that's the way that we've stayed in touch. We're all over the world, literally, and yet we're still connected because of that common link to Shaw. So Viva Shaw.
You could not have said it better. I will say one more thing. I was part of the group where they wanted to move the international program to Guilford, and we put up a huge fight. We had t-shirts made that said, hell no, we won't go. We were probably, in retrospect, it was probably really silly, but we loved our dorm and we didn't want to move. But so that was kind of a.
What year was that?
I don't remember what year that was. But
91.
Yeah.
I love that.
I see Joanne just popped up. Hi, Joanne. She was back in the early days with some of us.
I just wanted to say how much I have appreciated and enjoy hearing the Shaw stories, many of which were interesting and new to me. But it was quite an experience living my freshman year in Shaw dormitory with Betty Ann Davis Tillman, who along with me were the first two African-American students on campus, and Shaw was our home dormitory. But what I wanted to say was, as one of my favorite memories of living in Shaw was at the end of my freshman year in 1957, Carolina played Kansas for the national championship. And it was, we had a black and white, probably 12-inch screen television in the parlor with a very, very grainy picture. And the girls were allowed to, along with their dates, watch the game. And that allowed us to stay up beyond the 11 o'clock curfew hour because the game went beyond 11 o'clock. So that was quite exciting to be in the parlor watching game with dates in tow. So that was quite an interesting night because Carolina won, I think, in 3 overtimes. So the game went on and on and on. But thanks for letting me share that and share this experience with all of you. It's been fun.
No, thank you. We appreciate you joining us today. Do you have any other memories you'd like to share with us?
Well, I could share a lot, but I think in light of being unprepared to share very much, I'll just leave it there. But
Well, that is perfect. If you think of anything later, you just feel free to call me or email me, and we will get your memories out to everyone who joined us today. With that being said, thank you all so much for joining us today. I've really enjoyed this hour with you. We are wrapping up our homecoming, but we do have 2 amazing performances happening tonight with Rihanna Giddens and Carla Davis. So if you have not registered, please go to uncghomecoming.com and make sure you get the links for those. They're going to start at 5:30 tonight. So I really hope that you can join us for that. And thank you again. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Madeline.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Happy homecoming.
Bye, everyone.